This is Burton from Propstream. He's actually going to walk us through the entire phase of using Propstream. He's going to give you a demonstration, and also walking you through how pulling buyers lists, and then also possible seller lists as well to go ahead and do entire acquisitions and dispositions, all using Propstream, going ahead and doing comps, and also pulling databases and pulling out more information on mortgages and taxes, things like that, to better help you guide your way throughout the realms of real estate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you again for watching. Let's just go ahead and dive right into it. So I'll be your tour guide today. If you guys have any questions, please reach out or put them in the comment. So let's start with, what do we do here at Propstream? And what I'd like to share with you guys is just a quick little outline of our product. A lot of people know we collect data, but what is it that you can do with our data? I think that's the most important thing. And this is a breakdown of what you can do with our data. So what Propstream has to offer are two important things with some additional features. The two important things that our data can offer you is the ability to do lead generation with our data, locate on or off market properties. Now, we'll be honest, most of our users love the off market properties, but we do have MLS data nationwide. So if you wanted to see something that's listed for rent or for sale, have fun with Propstream. But typically with lead generation, we know that there's more than just, building a list. So we've included some additional elements to that. And I've broken it down to three parts. So part one of lead generation is the core of lead generation, and that's build a list. And you can see the 4 steps to that. Search, filter through our 19 categories or 120 plus filters, save your list. Oh, and by the way, with the link down below, you're going to get a 7-day trial period and 50 properties to save. But with that link, you'll also get a discount. So after your trial period, you'll get the price of $97 a month. And get this, that $97 a month will give you the ability to save 10,000 properties and export them as well. So you can, again, pay $97 a month and save up to 10,000 properties while also exporting that same data.
Wow.
Those are the 4 steps, right? Did you want to? I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. What was that?
No, I was saying wow. And I mean, how much is it normally?
Well, normally you guys, the price is about roughly $100, a few dollars off that you guys get. But it all plays a long way, and that's where 2 and 3 come into play. So you're thinking, wow, it's just $2. That $2 can be used for part 2, part 3. Part 2 is skip tracing. So let's take you back in time. In the past, 90s and 80s, and before technology, getting a list meant physically getting a list. You had to go to the county, grab that list, and then bring it back to your office and work on that list. Back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any of that. We had either landlines or knock on my door, right? And so skip tracing was physical. You have to actually look for that person's name in the yellow pages. If they had a very common name like John Smith, good luck. You're calling 100 John Smiths now just to find the right one. So the other option was to send either a postcard or knock on the door, right? Today, because 99.9% of Americans have a smartphone, at the age of 8 and above, skip tracing has become very popular. What that means is that your phone number, yes, has been recorded, right? Your phone number, your email has been recorded. Now, there are ways to hide that, right? And you guys know those certain ways. But some of these homeowners haven't done that. And so not only can you build a list in Propstream, you can take that list and skip trace it and get a cell phone, a landline, or an email. Now, there is a cost. It's 12 cents per address, and there's no minimum or maximum. So you can skip trace an address because you were driving, you saw an abandoned property. So you came to Propstream, you built that list, you skip traced it, and you got that one phone number, email that you need. So again, there's no minimum or maximum. And by the way, if you don't get any results on that address, we're not going to charge you at all. So if you skip trace 2 properties, one comes back, one does not come back with any results, that's only 12 cents that we're going to charge you. Okay, so part 1 is build your list. Part 2 is get those cell phones and emails. And then part 3, we squeezed it in there, but that's our campaign or our marketing section. We can set you up with a website. We can send out postcards on your behalf. That's right. We could send out postcards to those mailing addresses for you. And then emails as well. Website is part of your subscription. You don't pay extra for that. Postcards come at a cost depending on how many you send. Emails are 2 cents. And those three parts are all part of lead generation, right? We're just mimicking what you're going to do anyways. Grab a list, skip trace it physically, and then market to it somehow, right? Might be knocking on a door, sending postcards, right? We're just doing that within Propstream. Now, what happens when you do that, right? Well, inevitably, someone's going to answer your postcard, or they're going to call you back, or you might call someone and they actually pick up. Well, guess what? We're here to help as well. The second part of our data that you can utilize is analyzing a property, right? So you can actually type in a property, and we're going to give you essentially a lot of information, but it's as easy as searching the address, finding opportunities in our data. Now, an opportunity isn't always going to be a pre-foreclosure. An opportunity could mean the house is 50 years old, or they live out of state, or they have multiple mortgages, or whatever it may be, right? That's what our data is going to show you. And any one of those can be a pain point. Now, after you search the property and find those opportunities within the data, you can run comps in Propstream to get an after repair value or an as is value, because you're going through our cash buyers transactions, right? We're just giving you data. It's for you to manipulate and find the data that best suits your needs. And then finally, don't hesitate to print any of those reports. Probably going to need to print out that comp report for your seller so you can educate them as why you're giving them 70%. And then you might need to print out the report to show your buyers why they should buy it at 70 or 5%, and then, get it at 100% and make more money. Right. This is the second part of your business, and our data set can help you with that. Now, we do have some additional features: our mobile app, team member accounts, and then list automator, which takes part one and revolutionizes it. These are additional. List automator is an additional cost. Team member is an additional cost. The mobile app is free. It comes with your subscription. So make sure you download that right away.
And
but
that
that's the
mobile
complete
app,
breakdown of what our system. Oh, I'm so sorry. What was that?
no, yeah, I was gonna say that mobile app is huge. It's so beneficial, if especially if people are driving for dollars. There's all kinds of features and functions on that to help you out with, doing that. And it's the cheapest way to generate high quality leads. And then Propstream can basically automate the rest.
I love that you said that. It's the cheapest way to definitely create high quality leads. And the funny part about that is, in the past, like when you're finding these abandoned properties and these vacant lots, you didn't really know much besides, hey, it's right here, or hey, this is the address. I'm going to write it down and take it back with me. Our mobile app gives you our data on the go. So you can stop, tap on that parcel, and now you know who owns it, where they live. You could skip trace it. You could send postcards. It's mind blowing. So it's a cheat sheet on the go. Make sure you take advantage of it. Okay, guys. But that's the breakdown of what our product can do. And hopefully you can see the value, how it can help you get your journey started or accelerate your business to that next level. But let's talk about lead generation. So we're now going to jump into Propstream. The first thing I want to just let you guys know is just remember where the toolbar is at when you log in. It's on the left-hand side. We start you on the search page because we think you're either building a list or searching an address, right? So either or, it needs to be done in the search area. My properties is where anytime you search an address and save that address, we store it in the favorites area. Anytime you search a market and add some filters and then save a bunch of properties, that's a marketing list that you're going to market to. That goes in the marketing area, marketing lists. If you have list automator, which takes a marketing list, like my Vegas vacant absentee owners list, it can automate it, meaning you never have to search this list again. We're going to search it on your behalf and send you an email. And just like these properties here, or my list here, when I click on them, not only will you get an email, but we'll tell you how many new properties you need to add that match your new filters and how many you need to remove because they're now on market or just sold. List Automator is a revolutionary tool. It is $27 extra, but you can see the power in it. I just logged in, and with this list here, I already know how many properties I need to add and how many I need to remove. And get this, that's my search filter. I didn't have to do that search. List Automator did it for me. So look into it a little bit more. The mobile app, anytime you save a property while you're out there on the go, the mobile app will share your folder or show you your folder and all the properties that you saved on the go. From there, you can click on them and then move them into a favorite list or a marketing list that's similar to the other properties you're working with, or a list that you're automating. So this is our My Properties area. I like to think of this as like your filing cabinet. The reason why I like to say that is because when you click on a list, that's in this area. You have the ability to check it off or check those addresses out and then export it. So this is the area where you can take the data out of Propstream. So again, search is where you're going to build a list or search an address. My properties is where we store it if you decide to save that list or that address. Now, the next two areas come together. So contacts, what's cool about this area is you can import outside leads into Propstream, right? Now, maybe you don't need our data, but maybe you want to market to it or skip trace that list. So the contacts area allows you to import an outside list like I've done here, right? And then skip trace it or market to that outside list because of our marketing component. And it could even be a list that has the phone numbers and emails already, right? So you don't even have to skip trace with this if you don't want to. So you can bring in your outside list to either skip trace it, which is option A, or B, send postcards to it or send emails to it because you already have that info. You just don't have a platform for marketing, right? So if you have a list that you've been holding aside that you haven't marketed to it yet, bring it on over. We'll take care of that for you, okay? And you can even do both. Import your list and then skip trace it and then get your results and then run a campaign on it. But what's also important about the contacts page, besides importing your list into Propstream, is that if you do decide to skip trace with us, the contacts area is where we send your results. So here at the bottom left, you'll see your skip trace area. From there, you'll be able to click on your list and then see all the properties that you've skip traced. So I can click on my list and I can see all the properties that I've skip traced. Right? And we'll even show you properties that are on the do not call list. You don't have to pay any extra for that. So not only are you skip tracing a property for 12 cents, and again, if you don't get any results, like this owner here, we're not going to charge you that 12 cents. So it's 12 cents if you get any results, whether it's one phone number or 15 phone numbers, it's just 12 cents. But if nothing comes through, we're not going to charge you again. And this is that part 2 of that spreadsheet, right? So we can build a list with Propstream, and then we can skip trace it, get our results, and then we can check them off and export them out of Propstream and then start cold calling or upload it to a dialer or have someone else make those calls for you. Now, the third part of Propstream is our campaign area. Look, we get that you're going to search and build a lot of lists. If you notice my account, I have multiple marketing lists that I'm creating, right? And as you notice, I've skip traced multiple properties and multiple lists. Our campaign is very dynamic to that. What I mean by that is that we allow you to create multiple active campaigns. So right now I have 13 campaigns. I have an auction campaign running. I have a Burton campaign, which is like my secret sauce campaign. I have my Charlotte leans, El Paso, my favorite properties that I'm campaigning to. Some of the imports can be, again, campaign to maybe your delinquent list that you created. And get a load of this. Every single campaign that you create gets a website at no additional cost. That's what I was telling you about landing page. So my auctioning marketing campaign has a website, and this is what it looks like. It says, hello, I buy houses in cash. We close in 30 days, right? We pay all cash for your home, any price, any range, any location, any condition, yada, yada, yada. And there's even an application that they can fill out and send it over to me. Now, what's the point of this? Well, when we're cold calling or speaking to these 75 individuals, or when we send a postcard to them, right? We can put the website on the postcard, or when we're speaking to them, and they say, do you have a website? Because I want to learn a little bit more about you. Well, there's my website. And sure, go ahead and go to it. And that builds that credibility, perhaps. But then guess what? I'm going to rinse and recycle, repeat, right? I'm going to go back to Propstream search database. I'm going to build another list. Maybe it's a delinquency list. I'm going to save that. I'm going to skip trace that. And then guess what? I'm going to start another campaign. And this campaign, the delinquency campaign, gets its own website as well. Okay. So that's the functionality of our toolbar, right? It goes in that flow. And then finally, just because we're here to help out, there is a help section that shows you video libraries. There's the Propstream Academy, which is free. It's like an online course that you can take. Heck, you'll even get a certification when you complete courses. Settings areas, your account profile, change your passwords, your billing, add a team member, upgrade your plan if you'd like, and then log out. Now, if you fail to log out, we'll log out. We'll log you out in after a few minutes. But remember that toolbar It's the spine of Propstream's platform. So let's talk about lead generation. This is the hottest topic this year. With inventory low, everyone's trying to find these motivated sellers, right? So let's talk about how to do that. When it comes to lead generation Propstream, 4 simple searches that you can perform in the search bar. Actually, 3 in the search bar, 1 on the map. But the 4 searches that you can perform is a county level search. So we can, search Los Angeles County, for example, and see the 2.4 million records that Propstream has collected on our behalf. And Propstream will give you a few of the breakdown here at the top. Now, what we're not showing you are all the properties in Los Angeles, because there'd be millions more. What we're showing you are properties that are on some category that we've collected. And again, here are the first 8. So if you're interested in a listed property for rent for sale, this would be your box. Hey, you like pre-foreclosures? Then this is your box. You like going to the auctions? Well, that's your box. You do short sales and deal with banks? Here are the bank-owned properties and foreclosures, right? You need to raise private money or, dispo your contract? Here are all the cash buyers in the market that you can bump into, right? Involuntary liens, properties not answering their mail, vacant, properties with a lot of equity. So again, what we're not showing you are all the properties. What we're showing you are properties that are on a list. But county is the first search. The second search could be a city, like now I'm in Atlanta. And that's right. This is nationwide. We don't restrict you. You can go from one market to the next market to the next market, all for $97 a month. And again, that's why we give you 10,000 records, because you can do 3,000 in California, 2,000 in Georgia, maybe the others in Denver, who knows, right? We'll let you decide. So county, city. Next, you can search by zip code. So I'm just going to randomly put a zip code here. There's a Montana zip code. Is that Montana? I think so. But yeah, we put in the zip code and we got some results in this random zip code. I don't know. Yeah, it's somewhere in Montana. Oh, and the final search that you can do. So county, city, zip code. The final search is a draw search feature. So let's say, south of the county or the cafe, Rosebud Cafe, everything south of it is selling a little bit better than everything north of it. All right. So with that said, several left clicks later, I can create my own shaded area. And I did that using this pencil on the map. You're going to click on it once and then make your own fence or your shaded area, essentially. And once you have that shaded area, you're just going to hit enter on your keyboard and we're going to pull the results in that shaded area. And then get a load of this, just in case you need help. Like, I'm not familiar with this market, but in case you need help understanding any market, here at the top right is your heat map. So you have estimated values you can look at, MLS stats, price growth, and rental values. Now, nothing's happening on the screen, and the reason for that is each category has multiple options. Once you choose one of those options, then you can see the colors on the screen. And as you can see, red represents 1 million, light blue represents 100K, and then everything in between, in this case for this given area. But as you switch categories, that legend will change values. So when I say show me price growth over the last 3 years in this market, right, we can see areas that have taken growth by 100% and areas that haven't had growth, or everything in between. And finally, rent values. I'm a buy and hold investor. Maybe I'm looking to rent a property for $2,500 a month. Show me all the yellow locations. So this is our heat map. Take advantage of it. It can help guide you when you're looking up a market. But let's pull it up. We mentioned Denver, so let's go to Denver. When you're building a list, you got to pull up a market. So we're doing Denver today. Now, what I recommend, rather than going through each property one at a time, right? So you can click on a property and go in the details if you like. I do not recommend that. I don't recommend clicking and viewing and clicking and viewing. It's no different than page after page after page after page. That's not what you want to do with our data. What you want to do actually is be best friends with our search filter here at the top. In our search filter, there are 3 things you need to look at. The open filters, our quick list choices where we have 19 options, and the summary. And you can combine them, right? At least the open filters and the quick list choices. So as you're in Propstream and as you pull up your market, you can go to the filter and say, hey, I'm looking for a pre-foreclosure, and then you can stop. Or you can add to it by saying, nope, not just any pre-foreclosures, the owner occupied ones, because we're going to knock on some doors this week and we're going to talk to these homeowners face to face, right? So you can work your way down. There's over 120 filters. You don't see them right now because as you click on each category, it'll collapse and show you more options. So if you want these pre-foreclosures off market, another step would be to go into the MLS area here and where it says on market no. Maybe you like working with a realtor, so show me the pre-foreclosures that are listed with a realtor. Again, you can locate on or off market properties. So open filters, 19 options in our quick list choices, and the summary, where as you select your options and your filters, you'll notice we're going to show you what your summary is. And feel free to remove them if you change your mind, so you don't have to go hunt down that filter manually. You can just hit the X's here on the right side. So search your market and then get very familiar with our search filter. Now let's break down the best practices when building a list, okay? Step one when building a list, right, is pick a list. Now we have 19 categories. Some lists are going to be more motivated than others, right? There's no right or wrong list, but let's talk about, which list has motivation, which doesn't. Like if you're looking for a distressed homeowner, a pre-foreclosure is a distressed homeowner. Someone who didn't pay their bills and now has a lien, that's a distressed homeowner. Someone who didn't pay their taxes, tax delinquency, that's a distressed homeowner. Someone who tried to work with an agent, but it failed on the market, a failed listing, that's a motivated homeowner. So these would be some good categories to start with if you're trying to find a motivated homeowner. What about a cash buyer? Someone like you who buys properties in cash, right? Imagine buying a property in cash for $100,000, and then a wholesaler calls you and says, hey, cash buyer, how about you sell me that house for $80,000? What? Makes no sense, right? I just bought this house for 100 and you want me to sell it to you for 80? I'm going to lose money there. There is a reason why wholesalers don't market to cash buyers for distressed properties. They market to cash buyers once they have it on contract. You don't market to cash buyers lists to find distressed properties, right? So understand that every list has some level of degree of motivation, and find one that resonates with you. Like if you like to work with homeowners and you want to deal fast and quick, I would say go for pre-foreclosures and auctions, because auctions mean, hey, that house is about to get auctioned off in the next few days or a few weeks or a few months, right? So that homeowner has to work quick. And if you get a hold of that homeowner, and that's the key point there, if you get a hold of that homeowner, then you might be lucky. But here's the problem. Pre-foreclosure and auctions, everybody knows that. That's why everyone goes after that first. Because, hey, if I can get a hold of this homeowner, we're going to get this deal right away. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go after pre-foreclosures. You just have to understand it's a competitive category. You also have to understand, and this is something people tend to forget, that if you decide to build a pre-foreclosure list and then later on skip trace it, that list might have a lot of disconnected numbers and people saying you got the wrong phone number. People tend to forget that your list typically dictates the accuracy of the phone numbers, right? Because if you're calling a financially distressed list, people are not paying their mortgage, domino effect. They're probably not paying their car payments, and all these creditors are calling them, and all these credit repair companies are calling them, and all these wholesalers and all these agents are calling. You know what? I'm not going to pay my phone bill anymore. Good luck trying to get a hold of me now, right? Or if you do get a hold of me, no, Burton, who's that? Never heard of the guy. You got the wrong number. Who's going to confirm that that was Burton that told you a lie, right? So understand that your list has a high level of motivation or low level or mid level, but the higher the motivation, the more you might get disconnected numbers of people telling you you got the wrong person. But dig a little bit harder and you might just find the right person, right? So once you understand that concept, maybe you don't want to work in that competitive category. Maybe you just want to work for someone or go after someone who forgot to make their tax payment, not yet in pre-foreclosure. Still has maybe a year or 2 or 3 to get there. But you know what? I'm willing to wait. If I can work with them today, maybe in 6 months or maybe in the next year, they don't close. They don't pay their taxes. And now they get a tax lien or now they get a tax sale, right? So let's do that, right? So go ahead and work on that competitive category, guys. I'm going to work ahead of you guys. So step one is pick a list. Now, step two, because there's a lot of options here. Step two, most important step, MLS status on market. No, if you're a wholesaler, if you're a fix and flipper, if you're looking just for off market properties in general, this is the most important step of all the steps I'm going to give you, right? So step one is pick your list. Step two, where it says on market, hit no. And as a cherry on top, MLS status here allows you to look for properties that have never been listed. So we'll go back a few years and look for properties that haven't been listed in the last 6-7 years. Now, third step, right? So pick your list with some motivation, make sure it's off market. That's our MLS status. And you can also add never listed on top. So you potentially can be the first person to speak to them about selling the house as a solution. Third, equity. So go to our valuation and equity info and apply the minimum percentage or max percentage. Now, this is all going to be on you. I don't know what you know, but the more you know, the higher or lower the equity is. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm just a fix and flipper. Well, I need equity because I can't buy a house that's upside down and then fix it and then sell it for what? It's upside down, right? To begin with, there's no profit there. So if you're a wholesaler, if you're a fix and flipper, you might need to make sure that you're not going after anything under 60% or 50% or 40%, right? You want to make sure you have a minimum because we do need equity for those strategies. Now, if you do short sells or you do subject twos or lease options or whatever these credit seller financing strategies that you know, heck, maybe you're looking for negative numbers then. Maybe you want the negative 10 to 0% in equity, right? So show me the 74 that didn't pay their taxes and have negative equity. So negative numbers, positive numbers, high numbers, all can be applied. But let's assume right now I'm a fix and flipper, so I need 60% in equity or more. Some honorable mentions in this area: estimated value and estimated rent income. So if you're, let's say, looking for that medium household, we don't need $1 million property. So show me no more than $400,000 max. No taxes paid, off market, 60% in equity, under $400,000. Maybe you have a buy and hold wholesaler or buyer that you're working with. They like properties that rent between $1,000 to $3,000. So not only is it under $400,000, but it can rent out between $1,000 to $3,000 as well. So some honorable mentions here, but list is number one, off market number two, apply your equity number three. That's going to, again, be dictated by your strategies that you know, estimated value and estimated rental income. And then the next step would be, tell us what properties you're looking for, because we have condominiums, we have zoos, we have churches, we have all that stuff. So in our property characteristics, you could say, yes, I am looking for those commercial buildings that didn't pay their taxes, or I'm looking for just the residential properties that didn't pay their taxes. But you have to understand, every single one of these classifications is a bubble filled with different types of properties. So when it comes to residential, condominiums, duplexes, apartments, mobile homes. So once you choose your class, you can choose your property type. So it will be dynamic. Whatever class you choose, the property type options will be available here for you. For most of us, we're probably going to do single family, so your search might look just like that. But some honorable mentions: bedrooms, year built, HOA. For example, some of our users don't like dealing with, again, mansions, so no more than 5 bedrooms. Some of our users don't like really old properties, so they might say must be built after 2000. Or opposite, must not be built after 2000, right? So everything 2000 or earlier. Some of our users, again, work with fix and flippers or are the fix and flippers, and they don't like working with HOA. And because we collect the data, you can say, hey, I don't want the HOA properties, or I do want the HOA properties. So you have the ability to control those or leave it as is. So lists, off market, equity, property characteristics, and then we wrap it up with the ownership info. The list you market to is most likely the list that will call you back. So in this scenario, who do you want calling you back? Do you want businesses calling you back? Do you want a trust calling you back? Or do you want just a regular homeowner who is the decision maker calling you back? If that's the case, then you might want to select individual. Or heck, maybe you get better at this and you want to do both individuals and corporates. Feel free to stack them if you'd like. Now, I always say, and this is something that people tend to always overlook, always add years of ownership in your search. Always. I don't care what the search is. Always add years of ownership, unless you're purposely not looking for someone who's owned, or unless you're purposely looking for someone who's like owned the property for a month, right? Because Propstream has collected data for a long time, and we have properties that were sold back in 1999, and we have properties that were sold just last month. So do you want the person who's forgotten to pay their taxes, who's just owned the property for a year? That could be a new homeowner who forgot to pay their taxes. Probably don't want that. Instead, you probably want the person who's owned the property for 8 minimum years or more that forgot to pay their taxes, because there's no excuse now. You've lived here for 8 years or more. You can't tell me I just bought it last year and I forgot to pay my taxes, which is very common, by the way. So if you've been calling these tax delinquency lists and they're like, why do people not seem motivated? Check the last sell date. That's probably a huge factor right there. Okay. So always add years of ownership to your search. And then some honorable mentions here: how many properties an owner might have, right? And the location of that owner. So how this could work: numbers of properties. Show me someone who didn't pay their taxes, is an individual, and has 2 to 4 properties, because they might need to sell more than one property to solve this property or this problem. And you might be that person to do just that. Heck, show me not only a person that has 2 to 4 properties, but they also live out of state from the property that's delinquent. So here are 3 addresses that are delinquent, and the owners don't even live in the same state. And the owners own multiple properties. So they might just be like, yeah, you know what? You could just have this property. I have other properties I have to worry about. Right. So these are some honorable mentions. But what I'm also doing is called list stacking. And that's okay with, you can do that in Propstream. You can continuously add multiple filters to your search to get to the right amount that you need. But ultimately, you want to follow those steps: lists, off market, the equity, the property info, and owner characteristics. And once you have all of that, you can now hit close, and your results are on the right-hand side. All right, what started with hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions, are now the highly targeted addresses that you need for your business. So what do you do next? You're going to check them all off and add them to a list. And now you can add them to a list that you already have, or in this scenario, I'm going to create a new one: my Colorado tax delinquent list. And from there, I'm going to save it. And now it starts going down the toolbar from the search engine. Once that list has been saved, I can now go into my properties. And if I just need addresses and mailing addresses, great. I click on that, check those addresses off. I hit the export button. Maybe I want to review a property. Well, that's fine. Click on a property and review it and take a look at it if you'd like. Okay. You can skip trace. You can run a campaign as well. Now, what happens if you market to this list and they actually call you back? What do you do? Well, if you market to a list and they actually call you back, here's what you do. You can either go to your My Properties and find that list, but the reality is you're not going to even be in Propstream and you're not going to even know what that list is. So when someone calls you back, so let's say you did build a list, you skip traced it, you called them, or you marketed to it and they called you back or they answered, right? This is what it's going to look like. You're not even anywhere. You're not even logged in. So you're just going to log in and this is what you're going to see. What do you do? Well, ask the homeowner for their address and type in that address. Make sure it's the right address, click on it. And instead of showing you a bunch of properties that you're going to build a list from, we're just going to show you that address that you pulled up, right? So this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the start of how you would want to approach comping a property. Now, people forget that comping isn't, hey, thanks for calling. How does $70,000 sound? Great. I'm going to send you a contract. Thanks for calling. Right? That doesn't happen, right? Conversation when you're negotiating can take 5 minutes to 5 hours sometimes. So comping, you hear it a lot, comparables, right? Actually stands for something else. And I'm going to tell you what it stands for. Actually, every letter stands for something. And I'll explain what I mean. So when a homeowner calls you, the first thing I want you to do is type in the address in Propstream and pull it up. We're going to show you the address on the right side and the nearby listings. In this scenario, the first one are all the neighbors around the property. You can click on MLS and see the listings, pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, We'll take the city, in this case, Denver, and show you the listings we have. I think if anything, just knowing that there's a strong amount of cash buyers probably is an indicator that this might be a good investment for you. And then down below the statistics, right? The statistics is going to show you whether there's been positive price changes, rent changes, and any other trends that you need to worry about. Like in this case, days on market is increasing in this market. That might mean that if you're a fix and flipper, get ready for price adjustments perhaps happening because days on market are starting to increase. So data can tell you a lot. But when you are in a full-blown conversation with the owner, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into the details of that property. And this is our property details page. Now, lots of information here. So let's just break down what we're looking at. We have the address at the top, satellite image, which can be clicked on and expanded. From here, you can zoom in, use ground level, right? Take a look at the property street view, compliment them for the nice car. Maybe they have children. Hey, I see you might have kids. How old are they? Right? Like literally, this is amazing technology people are not even utilizing anymore. Right? Back in the day, if you were to tell someone, hey, I can give you ground image of satellite, and I'm in California, I can see what your house looks like. Get out of here. I'm going to call the FBI, right? That's the conversation that would have happened in the 90s. Today, I can do this. And not only can I do this, but I'm able to see certain things that I can utilize to build rapport. Instead of calling and say, oh, hey, I see you didn't pay your taxes. Hi, my name is Burton. I'm an investor from out of state, just looking to see if you're interested in selling. Hey, I took I took a look at your property at street level, and sorry for being a little invasive, but I see there was a nice swing out front. I see you have some balls out front. Do you have kids, by the way? I'm a father myself. I have a 10-year-old, and it's not easy. Now we're talking about kids, not even about the delinquency, right? Building that rapport, and then 5 minutes later, hey, dude, why did you call again? Oh yeah, I was calling about this delinquency I saw, and your address pulled up, and I was just seeing if I can help. Utilizing satellite image helped build that rapport. Got in the door, right? We connected because we're both family men or, both parents. And now, I'm a real person and I'm just here to help you. You have a kid, I have a kid. Hey, let's get out of this together. You know what I mean? So that's the power of just satellite image people aren't utilizing. So tap into that. Click on the picture, expand it, use ground view if it's available, read the neighborhood. It can tell you a lot. Okay. Now back to the profile page. Below that, beds and bathrooms. Same thing. Back in the day, you had to ask for this information. Hey, Maria, how many beds and bathrooms you guys have? And Maria could have been like, dude, aren't you the expert? Click. Today, it's, hey, Maria, I see you have a property. It's nearly 80 years old. It's built in the 48. Have you done the roof? Have you removed the popcorn ceiling? How's the foundation of this 80-year-old building? How do you know it's 80 years old? Did my research. Now she's going to feel confident because she's working with an expert, not someone who's asking her questions about her house and trying to buy it from her, right? Like, how do you go from not knowing about this house to all of a sudden you want to buy it, right? What value is it to you at that point, right? So beds, bathrooms, characteristics here, summary of the homeowner. Like, dude, this homeowner has lived here for 29 years. They've seen this community change. And that could be either the anchor, that's why they don't want to leave, or that could be the motivation. Hey, Marie, I see you and your family have been here for nearly 3 decades. That's amazing. The average homeowner can't say that they've done that. Most people move in about 7 years. You guys, you have a lot of roots in stone here, right? I can see why this tax delinquency is a big thing for you. You're not trying to lose your home. What can I do to help? I might have a tax expert that can help you instead, right? Or if you're really interested in selling because you got to move somewhere, hey, we can get a realtor to get you what you want. Or if you got to go quick, I can help you as fast as humanly possible. So just knowing this stuff can help you. Okay. So this is the summary, includes the image, estimated values, strong, but I don't recommend you use it. Comparables will show you how many properties sold in the last year around this property. It's not filtered. So we're just taking the results unfiltered and just giving you an average of their price. Be careful. Okay. Mortgage and debt summary will show if there's any mortgages, show if there's any liens. Don't think they have a mortgage after 29 years. They probably completely paid off that mortgage. That's probably why it says 0 here. And they haven't pulled a second or third, so we don't see that. The last time it sold was for $42,000. Talk about a steal, right? Nearly 100% increase in value there. And then opportunity, monthly rent, gross yield. Now, where are we getting this information? Right down below. So all the property information comes from the property details tab right here, right? The comparables that you see here comes from the comparables area. So this is our comparables and nearby listings. Shows you comps, public records, MLS data. Shows you both combined. You can see who's flipping houses in less than 2 years. You can take a look at the neighboring properties, see who sold recently and what they sold for. Cash buyers, are there any buyers in this area I can market my contract to? And then maybe any other, distressed categories that you might be interested in. Tax information, mortgage and transaction history can be shown. And then any documents and reports on the property can also be purchased for either $5 or $1.50 for the assessor's map. Now, here's the thing you have to understand with Propstream is that no two properties are the same. So let me say this property really quick, but notice how it goes from property details to comparables. The reason being is Maria's a pretty good owner. And besides not paying her taxes, she's not in pre-foreclosure. She doesn't have any liens. She hasn't called a realtor yet. Now, what happens if I did click on a property like these 269 with a pre-foreclosure in it? Well, when I do that, you'll notice that that property details page is slightly different. It looks the same, but there are different tabs that appeared. So in this case, the owner, Michael here, is going through a pre-foreclosure, and that was recorded this year, has a lien that has been recorded for quite some time. So we can see where the domino effect is happening, right? Didn't pay your bills, probably not around, probably, just not having a great time right now. And now you're not paying for your, sanitation. So utilities are not being paid now, right? Guess what? I think the issue, the solution, and we see what the solution was, they sold the property. Like, I don't even need to talk to this homeowner to see the story unfold. The homeowner went in default, bills stopped getting paid. They contacted a realtor and they listed it for $349, and that most likely took care of that default. And now the homeowner gets to hit that reset button and go somewhere else, right? So properties that you click on, the story will be different. For Maria here, she's not going through a pre-foreclosure lien and she hasn't called a realtor yet. So you don't see all those extra tabs, okay? Now, if someone has multiple properties like these cash buyers, the cool thing about Propstream is when you look at the profile of a cash buyer, there's a linked properties tab and it shows you any other properties that they may own. Like this one has one property other than the one they just bought. This one has no other properties. How about this one? This one has 2 other properties under their names, right? So we can show you portfolios in that property details page. But let's break this down really quick, right? Because again, comping, very complex topic, right? What does it mean? Yes, it does mean comparables, but that doesn't mean that when someone calls, like if Maria were to call me right now, I'm not just going to say, Maria, what's your address? Great. Go to the comps and say, Maria, houses are 370, how does 280 sound? She's like, wait, I don't even know your name. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? That's not how it is. So let's break down what comping should be about. Let's use each letter of comps, okay? C stands for condition. So when you're talking to Maria, the first thing on your mind, besides making sure she's cool and everything's fine with her and her family's good, is asking questions about the property to understand its condition. Did Maria just renovate it last week? If that's the case, her house is at 100%, and we need to sell it at 100% or offer her a fair offer of 100%, right? Or depending on the stress, maybe 98% because she has to sell it quick, right? But if she says, no, I haven't done anything for 29 years, the roof is falling apart, there's mold growing, foundation's cracked, well, I can't give you, right, 100%, and I can give you 50% for that condition. So the letter C in comps stands for condition. And now once you discover the condition, let's say the property is worth 50%, right, in its current state. Now we have to understand what the obstacles are to own this property. Now, just a few moments ago, we showed you some of the obstacles, right? It could be a default. So when you're dealing with Ryan and Tyler here, we need to solve this problem as fast as humanly possible because there's a default on file, right? Or, hey, you've also listed it with an agent. Why are you calling me, right? This is an obstacle for me. I can't work with you if you're working with an agent, right? You're going to need to cancel that contract, or we're going to need to do a strategy with your agent, right? Novation or something like that, right? Wholetailing. There's a bunch of different stuff we can do, right? So these are things that you have to be, you have to worry about, but you got to understand the condition. Once you get that, let's say 50% is the house. What are the obstacles? In this case, no pre-foreclosures, no liens, no realtor. But the obstacles, she wants to get out of here in the next 30 days, perhaps, right? So obstacles don't have to be data. Obstacles can be a personal thing. You have to understand that because that can set the time limit, right? So condition obstacles. You know what the letter M stands for? The mortgage. Once you understand the condition, right? Once you understand the obstacles, the letter M stands for mortgage. We got to look at the mortgage and transaction history here. Now, she doesn't have a mortgage. Why? Because she's paid it off 29 years of owning this property. Yeah, no mortgage. Now, if she had a mortgage, and let's say that mortgage was at $300,000, her estimated value is around 370, and her mortgage is at 300,000. And just a few moments ago, when we were talking about the condition, she said that her house is about 50%. That doesn't sound like a deal, right? That almost sounds like you're upside down based on the condition and what you owe, right? That might have been because of a credit loan or whatever it is, but you have to understand that, or you have to understand the mortgage to understand where the homeowner is at. In this case, there's no mortgage. And so even though her house is at 50%, that's great. I could still offer her 170. I could offer her 120 and she would be happy. Heck, I could under 100,000 if she's really that. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but you get the idea. There's no mortgage. So I have an open playing field in terms of the offer. But C stands for condition. O are the obstacles. M is the mortgage. Now we deal with the P, and the P is the price. And there's no rocket science to comping. You just have to find similar properties. And that's why we give you all of our data. In our comps area, we show you the comps box. This is just raw sold data. You can use public records. You can say, hey, her house is at 50%, probably won't sell at full price. Maybe a cash buyer will want to buy this property. Show me a cash buyer in the area. Oh, here's a cash buyer that was willing to pay 220 for a very similar house, just a little bit bigger. I need to get a hold of this guy. And maybe when I'm talking to Maria, or maybe when I drive by this house, 4519, if that house looks worse than Maria's house, Maria, I think I can get your house sold for about 240. Let's put that on contract, right? And we contact this buyer. Mr. Buyer, I see you bought a house down the street for 220. There's a house very similar, just much better. It's a little bit higher in price though, right? So again, comping isn't always about, oh, I got to get the full price of the property. You have to understand the condition, and then the condition can dictate where you should go in terms of getting full price. If I went and got full price comps instead of cash buyer comps, like show me all the finance properties, and I showed Maria, hey, all these houses are selling for 370 and 350 and 400. She's going to be like, well, that's what I want. Whoa, time out. That's what they could sell for. Your house is at 50%. No, but that's what I want. So now I anchored her because I was using renovated comps. Now, again, I'm not saying not to educate her, but that's why I needed to know the condition. So I can say, Maria, look, your house is not at 100%. That's why these houses are selling for 350, 400. Your house is at 50%, just like this house that was bought by a cash buyer just down the street for 220. But I think your house is better than that 220, but it's not fully renovated. So in my honest opinion, your house is probably within 250 to 300, not that 350, 400, and definitely not lower than 220. Okay. Doesn't that sound like a more professional conversation? Not like, oh no, you're wrong, I think your house is worth this, because I hear it all the time. And that's what people have to understand. Like, when you're running comps, you're like the lawyer, and you have to educate that homeowner as where they're at, right? Ultimately, they might decide what their price is, but you did your best, right? So public records, you can use MLS records if you'd like, or put them both together, but please make sure you add filters. So we're looking for all the 2 bedrooms, all the one bathroom properties, just like hers. Right? We want them all single family, residential. Okay? And we want them all within a quarter mile. We're not trying to go across major highways or anything like that. Right? So we found 2 of them actually. One sold for 398, one for 370. This is very similar. I'm going to assume those are definitely renovated properties, right? So there we go. If assuming that, her house is fully renovated, based on these 2 properties, the average after repair value in her market is about 386. Now, how do I explain this to Maria? Easy. Go to actions and generate the comp report. So again, actions, view comp report. And what we will provide you, and you want to make sure you add your filters, but we'll let you take our data. So on this report, we're going to provide Maria's information. So all of her house information will be on this report. So the first page is her house, shows her beds, bathrooms, year built, whatnot. Then it shows the search criteria that you utilize. Then it shows her a breakdown, low, high, average, similar properties, similar characteristics, where they're at on the map. So now we're educating, right? Sources we utilize, these are all public records, so they're official, right? Solidified records. And then here's a breakdown of each one of those properties. Like this one had central air. That's probably where that extra $23,000 came from, because this is forced air and fan cooling, and there is no central air. So now we can do our apples to apples. Maria, you don't have central air, but your cooling is much better. So we could maybe do about 380, right? We should probably list your house for 380. Or, hey, you know what? Like, this is what these houses sold and they're fully renovated, but we talked about your roof, the mold, the foundation. So, you know, the average of those is about 3,686. Let's call it fair. Let's meet right there in the middle and then do 50% of that, right? So I'd like to offer you about $190,000, $200,000 for your property. How does that sound, right? So now you got a 50% cash offer. And that, how did I come to that conclusion? Well, let's go back, right? C is condition. O are the obstacles you need to know. M is the mortgage. P is the price. And then once I got all of that, what ends the word comps? S. S stands for your strategy. And I was able to give her my strategy, right? So guys, that's comping in Propstream, or in general comping. It doesn't have to be, you know, in our platform, but we provide a lot of data. You can see why a lot of people love using our platform for comping. And it's not just getting a price, it's that whole process. So what we've talked about so far, guys, we talked about building a list. We talked about saving and exporting, skip tracing, our marketing campaign area, you know, pulling up a property and how to comp it. Remember, condition, obstacles, mortgage, price, and then your strategy. You know, don't forget that after all of that, you're probably going to need a buyer. So pull up that market, go back to our search filter, select cash buyers. And here are the two best practices when you're building a buyer's list. A, think of it like you're playing a matchmaking game. If Maria's house is a 2-bedroom bathroom, then show me all the cash buyers that are buying residential single families that are between 2 to 3 bedrooms, 1 to 2 bathrooms. Great. Here's another trick. You want to make sure you have active buyers. So go to our ownership info and make sure they bought something recently. So last sell date, go back maybe a year or two. In this case, I'll go back a year. Show me all the Denver buyers that bought 2 to 3 bedrooms, 1 to 2 bathrooms in the last year. And I only want to see the individuals and corporate buyers. I don't want to see a trust who's just trying to park their money and they don't care about investments or anything like that. Oh, and here's a little trick for anybody. This is just my little 2 cents. I always encourage you to use numbers of properties owned. I like to say this, you know, I'm looking for not just any buyer, but buyer who has deep pockets, 5 properties or more. But not only deep pockets, you got to understand, a buyer that has a portfolio, 5 properties or more, when they get your wholesale contract, they're not one-minded. They're not just looking at it as a fix and flip. They're looking at it as a fix and flip and as a buy and hold. So again, there are people that only buy wholesale contracts and they only fix and flip. And there are people like these 155 that not only buy properties in cash, but they keep some of them and they rent them out. So this is why I always encourage to use numbers of properties owned when you're building your buyers list. So again, pull up your markets, choose cash buyers, play matchmaker with the property characteristics, make sure it's similar to the contract that you have, and then look for individual corporate buyers that are recent buyers. And my opinion is try to find one with a portfolio. So that way you can give your contract 2 potential options. And then once you're done with that, hit close, check those guys off, add them to a list, goes into my properties, skip trace them, send them your contract, and let's get this done.